The yeah, we're ready to go, and we are going. Now that the proportions are more or less what I want them to be as far as the screens sharing. But yeah, this episode was belated as I wanted to let some narratives play out, and I also admittedly needed some additional prep time. But yeah, with World Junior pre-tournament stuff going on, I thought it was maybe best to let some of that occur before I launch another episode. Yeah, so we'll cover last week's college results and then cover the WJC pre-tournament games that have occurred already and preview the ones that are coming up. Um, so on this week's episode of North American Dev Deep Dive presented by Black Stitch Hockey, we had some pretty good NCAA D1 matchups last week. Uh, the weekend slate once again was pretty satisfying. It slowed down this weekend, so there won't be too much to discuss in the grand scale, especially considering this load was a little bit more subdued as is than is normal. So going back to Friday the 12th, we had Dartmouth continue their hot start by defeating Army West Point by a score of 3-0. Goal scorers for the Big Green in that game were Colin Grable, Nikita Nikora, and Jason Stefanik. Rowan Clark got the start in net and made 19 saves to put up what they call a clean sheet in the soccer world. Yeah, pretty satisfying team performance overall. Although West Point gave more of a challenge than it looked. Uh, they were kind of a threat all throughout, even bearing in mind the shot differential, because they did have some good forechecking, some good sustained offensive pressure at a few different points. And of course, it's worth noting that the final goal by Nikora was an empty netter. So yeah, deceptively entertaining game. Um, yeah, let's see. Union defeated Alaska Fairbanks by a score of 5-1. Merrimack defeated Yale 4-1 in some other interconference matchups of note. Those were some things that went down. North Dakota had no problem defeating the Omaha Mavericks, having won that matchup by a score of 4-1. Goal scorers in that matchup were Ben Strinton with two, David Klee with a tally, and Jack Kernan. You know, some good showings from some of the guys that are not as well known as some of their high profile guys. As So there were departures, namely, of course, Keaton Verhoff and Cole Resney, both at the World Junior activities, for lack of a better term, for Team Canada. Sorry, I got a bit of a throat thing. Man, yeah, and of course, as you can tell by the PIM total, some extracurriculars there got really, really unfriendly in this one. Jan Spoonar, 30 saves in the victory. Another great performance by him. Hey, at least they got EJ Emery. Although, even though there was a part of me that thought maybe the US would give him a look. Let's see. Moving ahead to Saturday the 13th. This was something I had to catch up on because I was at the Saddest Day Festival curated by Converge down in the Brighton neighborhood of Boston that day. It was special being in the city that night as the final ever game at Matthews Arena took place between Boston University and Northeastern. BU, who of course played in that barn for a period of time, including some of their most dominant phases in program history, uh, ultimately ended the history of hockey there with a victory over the home team, Northeastern. Um, really wanted to get a win in that final matchup. Uh, they bid farewell to their old home, the oldest active hockey arena in the world at the time, with a loss by a score of 4-3 in regulation as they fell victim to the 2-0 curse. As Jacob Matthew and Tyler Fukakusa both tallied goals, only for Brendan Svoboda and Sasha Boiver to have the answers. Um, Subsequently, Joe Connor would tally a goal with just a second left in the second period, but Kamil Bednarek and Brendan Svoboda would ultimately turn it into a victory. Svoboda really was the man of the hour that in that matchup, as he scored two goals and the final goal that will ever be scored in that building. Um, I'm sure the Huskies are excited to be moving into a more modern venue in some respects, as they will have some opportunities for advancement of the program in some areas, but it has of course been a difficult long goodbye. Um, yeah, that's all I really can say. Um, Lindenwood were defeated by a score of 5-0 that day as well, uh, by the University of Maine, who did what they should in that matchup. Let's see. University of Denver Pioneers lost in the second matchup against St. Cloud State. Um, Also a team known as the Huskies, appropriately enough, by a score of 4-3, as an unranked opponent defeated the sixth-ranked team in what continues to be a chaotic year in respects of results like that. Max Malinsky scored the first goal before Kent Anderson and Kyle Chazowski, as in the first period, as well as Reed Varkonyi in the second period, built up a 3-1 lead for the Pios before Tyson Gross responded with two goals of his own, once with 14 seconds remaining, uh, getting a tally. And then in the second period, and then just after the midway point, uh, or just before, rather, sorry, of the actually, yeah, no, just after, right. With 8:12 remaining, he scored a power play tally. Uh, and then, of course, the game winner was scored by Barrett Hall, as the Huskies pulled off a pretty impressive comeback. I forgot Dartmouth was going to play ASU this weekend. Not this current one, obviously, but the coming one. The stuff is still happening, as the WJC is ongoing. They don't take a break for this. They just roll out different rosters. Not that that matchup is impacted, obviously. It's a good reminder there will be a few games here and there. Of course, fewer and fewer with the holiday break, and the ones that are played would be exhibitions on occasion, which can provide some excitement, of course. But yeah, Maine defeated Lindenwood 7-2 on Sunday, and of course, Dartmouth's unbeaten streak came to an end after having started the year 11-0-0. They just narrowly lost to intrastate but interconference rivals, the University of New Hampshire, by a score of 3-2 in overtime. Gosh, it was a bit of a soft goal by Brendan Fitzgerald to end the game, I thought. But despite their best efforts to hang in there and really looking good against a team that is built for athletic dominance in terms of recruiting due to different priorities. Uh, you can look at the stats here. They did lose the face-off battle, which I think affected their potential possession game. Um, it was, ultimately not to be. I disagree with the notion that this team was just like fluff, though. Like they didn't play a good team. If they didn't play anybody at all, they wouldn't have been number one in the pairwise going into this weekend. And like, you know, they just dominated the schedule ahead of them. That you still have to think they're legitimate, and I think have a good shot at winning the ECAC when all is said and done. Hold on, just a moment. Wait, no, that's not it. There we go. Yeah, my volume's maxed out. If I were to play anything by accident, it'd be loud. Of course, they're second now with Michigan being first, but this team is still very, very good and not to be trifled with. I mean, they lost a close game. Like people act like they got trounced like 4-0 in that matchup. They didn't get shut out. They hung with them. It just didn't work out ultimately. Whenever I saw that take on Instagram or anywhere else, I just thought it was stupidity. I don't think they're necessarily going to end the year as one of the most dominant forces in the country or go far in the national tournament per se. But I do think they're going to win their conference, and I think have the potential to win at least one game at nationals. But yeah, not yet. We're almost there. This is going to be kind of a quick one. Big F for our boy Emmett Crodo. That reminds me, the prospect of the week is going to be cheating a bit. Yeah, I know this is North American Dev Deep Dive, but yeah, there's a guy from not this continent that I'm considering giving it to. Yeah, not a lot of action this weekend, obviously, because of semesters wrapping up or having done so already, as well as international tournaments, as mentioned before. Um, but Agastana and Omaha split a series with a 7-4 victory going to the former on Friday, and yesterday the Mavericks enacted revenge by winning by a score of 4-1. Um, Jeremy Loringer, 2 goals in that game, 36 saves by Dawson Cowan. Good performance by him. Let's see. I don't know. I have the four Peters in my head right now. Yeah, a lot of good memories of watching him in the dub for sure. Um, Respectable rookie slash freshman season stats so far after a very solid career in the dub. Uh, like the potential, you saw like exhibits of like the potential he had come to life in his final season last year. It did help that Spokane was kind of a wagon, albeit uh not without its flaws that I was a little surprised that it was a sweep. Was it? Yeah, I think it was. Medicine Hat, of course, coming forward victors. Was it? Yeah, maybe it was a gentleman's sweep. Yeah, I thought it would go a little bit further, but I was not terribly shocked that Medicine Hat won. Ultimately, I just thought it might be a little bit more competitive. But despite the additions of some vets, as well as well, of course, primarily like Andrew Crystal, but uh, yeah, let me. God, I was rooting so hard for Victoria in that, but I was disappointed ultimately. Yeah, let's see. One, two, three. Or wait, what? Yeah, it was a gentleman's sweep, or, depending on your definition, because some don't use that for any 5-game loss. But semantics, yeah. I was expecting it to be at least a 6-game series, and that didn't happen. But yeah, nevertheless, though, the point being, uh, you know, his transition to NCAA being pretty good is not a surprise to me. It's part of the reason why, like, oh, hey, Marcus Nolan, another guy I was a pretty big fan of in the dub. Talked about him a bit in the past on here. Right Island, like him too. Yeah, there's just Maxime Pellerin. There's just a lot of likable Luke Woodworth. Even yeah, there's just this is very much like even adapting to the CHL, the NCAA pipeline, very much an archetypal um Maverick squad. I've always liked their pluckiness. Yeah, I don't know what's good for me, so them and St. Cloud State being my preferred teams from the Midwest makes sense. But moving forward, let's see. Yeah, the first matchup was actually Minnesota State versus Switzerland for the WJC pre-tournament matchups, which Switzerland, to of course have a 16-year-old 1C, needed a shootout to win, but they did get it done ultimately by a score of 2-1. Uh, yeah, let's see. Yeah, this format on USA Hockey's website could be a little bit better. I mean, yeah, not a lot. It was a pretty low event game, all things considered. Um, but that makes sense. Yeah, Miro. Yeah, the let's see. Liam Hupka got on the board for the boys from Mankato. Uh, well, yeah, Miro Rubber scored an. We also had a roughing penalty in this game. Got the GTG. Man, that really puts things into perspective. Just looking at these, how little time was left both times. Um, even in the period, and of course in regulation, respectively. But let's see. Robin Antonin got the shootout winner. I did see that clip. It was a pretty good shot, I thought. It's an interesting thing to catch wind of. I've only really gotten to watch yesterday's slate, unfortunately. Uh, come to think of it, yeah, hmm, yeah. What? Come on, you're hosting the tournament. You should have every game on there. I apologize for this. Yeah, because that Canada Sweden game was pretty satisfying, and it maybe impacted the narratives a bit. Yeah, the power play did not get it done, and of course, Gavin McKenna scored on his own net on his birthday in a viral moment that was very ignominious. Mm, yeah, Canada also did win by a score of 2-1 against Sweden. Uh, the day after the Switzerland game. Said that load queued up for the next sequence. But let's see, Brady Martin and uh, yeah, let's see, he Gavin McKenna combined on the first goal of the game. Then he did so with Michael Hage. They did so with Michael Hage also getting in on it for the ultimate GWG, though Vigo Bjork and as well as Anton Freundel and Walter Lindberg combined for a power play goal. It was nice to see some guys who have some vested interest in the narratives of got something done for Sweden anyway. But yeah, they were just a little bit outplayed in this one, despite really well some ineptitude on the power play on both ends. Like 1 for 5, Sweden did have chances to win that one with uh which they could have done with just a little bit more productivity with the man advantage. But yeah, 0 for 7 combined in that matchup for Canada is rough. Um, it's definitely a blind spot that Dale Hunter and staff will have to get done. I have no doubt that they will, though, considering the historical, the tendency from the um, London Knights of the Hunter era to regularly have exceptional performance there. I never fucking heard of Lativia, to quote a famous viral video. Let me see though. Yeah, we'll jump into that one next. The Latvians ultimately fell to the Czechs 3-2 in overtime on December 19th. Yeah, in Bemidji? Yeah, Bemidji. I call it Bemidji reflexively because it just makes more sense. Bemidji, yeah. God, some Minnesotans are gonna fucking kill me for this. Um, anywho, let me take a look at the. Is there a better way to look at the scoring summary? Oh, wait, yeah, I can probably scroll down. I take Kubica, Thomas. Yeah, Czechia was actually struck by the 2-0 curse in this game, ironically enough. Maximilian Curran, though, nevertheless, with Adam Juracek and Adam Binnock getting assists, got it done with very little time left in the extra frame. So, despite what went wrong, they got it done. Interesting to note that Andrei Stevatak got a look in the third period and OT. What's he up to these days? Another guy I have kind of fallen off on. I was a pretty big fan of him in the WHL, because I just get caught up in random narratives. I track one guy and then I end up watching his whole team. That's how it always goes. Yeah, yeah, still holding it down in Portland, who've had a variety of good goaltenders even just in the couple of years I've been doing this. I was a big Jan Spoonar fan for that one season before he departed for uh, the USHL. Now, of course, is on the collegiate circuit, as we covered earlier. Then Stepatak came in, liked him just as much. Doing all right this year. Marginal performance improvement in terms of stats, but his team is not as good as in years past. Um, yeah, was it Dubuque? Why am I forgetting? You think I'd remember given I tracked him there as well? Yes, sir. Yeah, he was good last year. Doing my due diligence here, give him the respect he deserves. I was very caught off guard by that transfer when it happened. Uh no bueno. But That's for our other, you know, that's for our other content. That's not my responsibility to discuss in depth. So I'm just gonna leave that alone for now. Let me see. I want to keep this as chronological as possible. Yeah, Germany, Finland, and that same day. Uh, yeah, 9-3. Nothing really to say here. Just a dominant performance by the Finns. Of course, last year's silver medalists. Um, Heikki Ruoinen, of course, the Flyers prospect who I believe is still in the USHL. Uh, I've really fallen off of it recently, so let's take a look. Oh, well, yeah, I haven't really. Yeah, he's not. That's right. I did take a look at his stats at Harvard recently. I haven't really watched them this year. Maybe watched like one game. Uh, Not great. Not really a needle mover, but good enough to be invited to Finland. It's a narrative for Flyers fans to be invested in a little bit. Yeah, he should have just s- slugged it out through the Finnish pro system. I know it's relatively high expectations for him. It's just going to be, he's going to have a bit of a developmental slog, but I think it's still possible for him to get to where he wants to go. Yeah, that omission a couple years back of Kiviharu, I know it would have been a bit atypical if he had made it onto the final roster, but because of just the fact that, yeah, the age thing is they don't really go for young guys on that team. Like they prefer to run an older roster, but at the same time, Finland has kind of like a reputation type approach to their recruiting. Uh, He's here now. Maybe he'll help him out. Yeah, who can I just see individual player stats? Westergaard seemed to have really done something in this game. Yeah, Casper Pikkarainen, Heikki Ruohonen, or the multi-point talliers. Yeah, that means they really got it done by committee in this game. Makes sense though when you have just that much of a talent advantage over the opposition. Let's see. Yeah, last night did not go so well for Sweden. I mean, Canada rather. Played at home in the London Knights barn. Poor offensive performance. Way too much left on the table. Uh, with the power plays ineptitude striking yet again, and even more profoundly with the 5 failed attempts. It's nothing. Like I just didn't really think they took very many high danger shots either. Like the shots on goal doesn't they don't reflect anything about oh it was right there for them. I just did not think they looked good. And of course, ultimately they paid for it uh with that triumphant third period where Sweden just really felt like they took over the flow of the game. Uh like it just I as it unfolded, I was like, yeah, I'm not too surprised by this. Jack Berglund, big guy, second generation player, I believe, Flyers prospect. And the guy, of course, right here, the man to watch, the guy who has succeeded his opponent, Gavin McKenna, as the number one prospect in this draft. I'm not going to let anyone trying to manipulate the narrative into saying that McKenna still has that top spot. I don't care what Chicklets or anybody else thinks on this topic. Ivar Stenberg is the best draft prospect for the 2026. And he's a guy who I will talk about more um, later on. But yeah, as alluded to or explicitly mentioned, really, the um, McKenna own goal on a delayed penalty was a nadir for sure. Not a great 18th birthday celebration for him. Coming up real soon, and will commence probably by the time this episode is uploaded. We have Germany versus USA. Later on tonight, we have Denmark versus Switzerland and Latvia versus Slovakia commencing at the same time. Then on Tuesday, yeah, the final slate goes down. Let me, yeah, those are. I don't have a gambling addiction. There's just pop-ups that I haven't cleared out of my history yet. That's why I probably would develop one if I really got caught up in that world. That's why I just enjoy and analyze sports. I'm not betting on them. Yeah. Canada versus Denmark is also on the docket. Oh, it was there anyways. I just did not read carefully enough. I don't know why that game isn't listed. Yeah, I guess just because the the U.S. isn't hosting uh, most of their preliminary games. That's probably why. Let's see. Did I forget anything? Yeah, Czechia versus Slovakia and Sweden versus Switzerland. So on Tuesday, the only game that kicks off or has opening puck drop, I should say, for proper nomenclature, is at 6 is or before 7 at all for that matter is USA versus Finland. The latter three matchups are all 7 o'clock. I think that's local time if I'm not mistaken. So that would be Central, not East Coast. Uh, yeah, yeah, it is. I remember looking at the discrepancies. I probably even did it on camera here last time we did this, but I don't recall. I think that does it. Yeah, it's been relatively subdued. But these episodes would be short. Yeah, I think we'll check in on MIAA. I do know Methuen High School just defeated Bedford by a score of 6-1 in their home opener. Um, Anything else worth talking about? I can just jump right to that. Close that sidebar. Got the job done for me. There's a litany of games today. That's what happens when there's so many freaking conferences. Or yeah, what we're talking about? I'll take a look at. Yeah, it's right up the street from me. Andover. Yeah, rough start for the Golden Warriors so far. They of course dropped that game 3-1, but I mean Central is going to be the inevitably the favored opponent in that matchup. They are still very much a very very good team in that conference. Let's see. Hmm. What else I want to look up? Yeah, take a gander at yeah, this is all yesterday's games, of course. Yeah, I did see Mikey Urell tallied an assist in that game. The Methuen Bedford matchup. Very very strong playmaking ability for on him, Yeah, they're undefeated to start the year. Good showing by Blackwell and staff as usual to start things off. Man, I wish they would monitor stats on this site. It's kind of it lets me down on occasion. Yeah, it's not that doesn't work. Yeah, this only really gives me perspective on who is leading the state in these categories right now. But yeah, uh, yeah, it's kind of. There's always just so much over time as the season plays out. We'll home in on specific narratives, but yeah, right as the things start, I'm kind of just casting a broad net and seeing what catches my eye. Man, is there a way? I don't really want to go on their Instagram page and look at that. Um, I will say if we limit it to just, yeah, I don't, I wish I could, why can't I just limit it to boys? Like, I don't want to get to a specific division. I'm sorry, I'm not going to discuss high school hockey too much on this. Uh, Stupid piece of junk. God, there's so many. Is there a how do I access the box score for that game? That's all I really want to do. Uh, yeah, it's not letting me do it. That's disappointing. Could do a take a more direct approach. The show is completely unscripted. Give me the more recent one than that. I don't care about last season. It's irrelevant now. Festival what? That's a weird domain to be hosting this. What? Oh my god. Wait, I'm so confused. Why? What? Or is that just let me double check on this. What the I got bamboozled. Very odd. Yeah, because the URL does in the like that also doesn't match. And then it's labeled yeah, HNIB is going on right now, isn't it? Yeah, I mean this is an option. Yeah, let's just pluck out headlines from their site. That should help us. Yeah, let's see. Maine high school hockey is really getting some love from their website right now. Uh, D3. Western Mass. It's a little outside my preferred range. Hmm. Greater Boston. Yeah, summer showcase. I thought they had something maybe going on a little. You know what? We could go on their Instagram. Uh, go about it that way. Just don't want to. Never mind. You know what? Uh, let's just. Gosh, I thought I was signed in. Maybe not on this new device though. You know what? Let's just look at the top line here. Let's see. So yesterday's games, Natick defeated Newton North 8-0. I will. By the way, I know I always end up just remembering this in the process, and it kind of messes up the flow. I'll be more. I'll now that I've experienced this, I'll try to make a better mental note to, uh, you know, um, do this have this a little bit more prepared in advance. It's just there's been so much other stuff going on. Like WJC just takes priority over this in my brain. Not to dismiss this at all. I'm doing this for a reason. And it's because I still think MIAA hockey is still very good, despite its decline as an NCAA feeder system due to junior hockey privatization, et cetera, et cetera. Um, but I just yeah, I will have something a little bit more prepped. Let's see the rest of it. Let's see. Abington defeated Rockland by a score of 8-2. Let's see. Neshoba defeated North Middlesex by a score of 7-2. Worcester Leicester defeated Keefe Tech 9-2. So that's the top of the pile there. Aside from the aforementioned Central versus Andover game, what else is there? Taunton versus Dimon in the Prenda Cup, 6-4 win for Taunton. Let's see. And Reading defeated the Watertown Wayland Raiders by a score of 7-1. The Arlington Spy Ponders, one of the best team names there is, 5-1 win over Stoneham. Canton defeated Archbishop Williams 3-1. Billerica and Shrewsbury played to a 1-1 tie at the Chelmsford Forum. Did I really do that? Chelmsford. I'm sorry. I'm like my brain is gone, and I was also thinking of this running gag about poor pronunciations of Massachusetts town names, and it's not out of state people doing it. What I'm alluding to with that is this tendency for there to be, you know, the light is like very obviously out of state licensed radio commercials for like car dealerships and things like that saying like please visit our locations in Worcester, Haverhill, Tewksbury, Tynesboro, Gloucester, Leominster, Billerica, Chelmsford, etc., etc. Um, and it just lives in my brain so rent free that sometimes I take these names at face value. It pisses me off, man. And I offended myself and my own sensibilities with that. Yeah, Newburyport defeated Triton 5-1, 5-3. Sorry. Let's see. Am I forgetting anything? Anything I would really want to be focused on? 2-1 win by Billerica over Chelmsford. I did it again. Chelmsford. I'm so sorry. Shawsheen defeated Beverly 5-2. Uh, I can't. I had to move out of this region. That's the only way I can make this right. Is I cannot be associated with the Merrimack Valley anymore. Is offensive. 7-1 win by Haverhill over Lowell. Should I just call it here? Like the fact that I've done this twice in a row is brutal. And we are approaching the puck drop for that USA versus Germany game. So I don't know. This whole thing has kind of just come off the rails. At least it managed to be funny at the expense of myself. That's all I can really say there. But forgetting something. Yes, I should mention that that was of course, a girls' matchup. Uh, Baroka Chelmsford uh, combined team. that matchup, of course, which like really shows how difficult this gets. Yeah, really, the what's going to happen with this is probably going to come become more of a thing when we get closer to the states and see what the conference leaders are looking like. Should be interesting. But yeah, 45-minute episode this time around. There's just is less and less to discuss uh as we get closer to the WJC proper. Um that's going to probably dominate the storylines here. In fact, I might not talk about anything else once the tournament starts up until it ends. Um That which means those other, like MIAA, as much as I want to incorporate it more thoroughly, is just not tenable for me right now. With that going on, and with me wanting to side eye college and juniors, even if I don't discuss it on the pod, just so I know what the ongoing storylines are like for when I get back into that. Um, oh, I did forget though. There is one more thing. Yeah, this looks terrible right now. Let me adjust that. Yes. So our prospect for the week, our prospect of the week for this week's episode is a Swede. I know it's North American Dev Deep Dive, but this has North American Dev implications right now due to the ongoing tournament. This guy is the guy. He's the best player on the best team in Sweden. Literally the closest thing that that team has to the current Colorado Avalanche is Frulunda, and he's 18 years old. He's going to dominate at this WJC, and it's going to be another reason why he goes first overall. I am 100% convinced of that. Like, yeah, Ferrari knows what's up. Hello. He is absolutely the best prospect in the draft. I mean, look at this. Like, there's just no way that anybody is going to be able to interrupt this guy. Yeah, he got missed a couple of games, and he's still the number one point tallier for this squad, who are the best team in Sweden. He is just such a good playmaker. I've been a big fan of him for a long time. Uh, you know, I I really think that this is going to be he has potential to be one of the greatest players from his home country in the entire history of the NHL when he gets called up. I mean, like when he makes his debut next year, because he's going straight to the NHL. I imagine he'll have a pretty good rookie season. He's at least as immediately translatable as Leo Carlson has been for the Anaheim Ducks, or was, that he's in his third year in the show. Um, but yeah, I mean, what more can you really say? Yeah, it should be a good tournament. I think Sweden did kind of affect the narratives a bit, even though the pre-tournament games aren't the WJC. I think they did say something of consequence here. I think they have a really good shot at winning the gold medal, and that guy is a big reason why. And which should be interesting to see how it plays out. So I will see you next week once things have shaken up a bit, and the WJC will take center stage, be the exclusive basis of content to this point. And I'll be doing my best to watch every game. So with that all said, take care, everybody. Um, Merry Chrysler and happy Honda days. There are more things I could say, but I think I'll leave it at that.